will have absolutely different ending. For example, about Fred. Um, this cat is a very love this cat, and when she moved to the new family, she got of course she got this cat with her, yes, but this cat missed, and Frank looked for this cat, and um, when he find him, he got and moved this cat to new family, and then he understood that not everything is okay. He new family lied him because he hoped that Mary will have a true family. They will go to McDonald's or have spending time together. But he noticed not. It was not correctly. The girl seated and solved different math tasks, and after that he got married. Yes, but if this cat had not missed, the ending of the film would have been absolutely different, because Frank wouldn't know what is going on in this family, that it's not will not all like he hoped.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Just one remark. You can say Frank, not Frank, Fred missed.
But
Uh, uh, you can say he is missing or he was missing. Yeah, but in this case, I think it's not even he's missing because he didn't just run away, right?
yes, but
He
miss.
needed, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You can use this, by the way. So he was given away, or they sort of removed him from the household. Yeah. Okay. Very good point. So Fred, in this case, is a sign, at least for Frank, that something was terribly, terribly wrong in that family and foster family. Yeah. Why was Fred so important? I mean, who cares what happened to Fred? Why is Fred a sign for him? Luda, Natasha?
Well, I believe that I'd like to add, I agree with the previous point, but as we discussed earlier, the presence of an animal makes films more touching, loving, and actually they opens the best qualities in us. And well, I believe that cat was here just to show so how fragile can be some things, and that really maybe it was very useful for the upbringing of that girl, just to get used to to look after something, to look after somebody, and to love somebody,
Okay,
and
okay.
mhm.
Thank you, Natasha. So on some level, you are saying that Fred was like sort of like an instrument, a tool of upbringing, of making her a human being, right?
Mhm.
Not passionate, compassionate human being, right?
Mhm.
Something like that. Okay, okay. Thank you. Luda, do you have anything to add?
I agree with woman. Mm, I think small, maybe not small characters uh, very important this film.
Influence, very big influence. Yes, you can say so. Yes, minor characters are as important as main characters, right? Because without them, nothing will move on. Yeah, very good, Duda. Speaking about the cat, just on a personal note, I like that cat also because my cat is also one-eyed cat, monocular cat. He doesn't have another eye. So for me, they are almost the same. Not the same, but I feel the same. I love him very much, even though he's not, perfect in the perfect sense. But moving on from the cat to the next question, because they are related, I think Fred was so important because in Mary's mind, and to some extent even in Frank's mind, Fred was part of the family. Not just a cat like running around somewhere, like in the village, sometimes cats, okay, they are just animals. But he was part of the family. She loved him to bits. So my next question is question number 5 in one of the previous lists. What did family mean to Mary? What did family mean to Frank, to Roberta, and to Mary's grandmother, Evelyn? So the meaning of family in this movie for each of the characters. So who was part of the family for Mary?
I think Mary Mary thinks that family is Frank, Fred, and Roberta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
These people, she likes these people, and she doesn't she can't imagine her life without these people.
Yeah, that's right. She likes these people. She can't imagine her life without them, and she spends almost all her time either with Roberta or with Frank. So, well, recently she started spending some time at school, but before that, all her world was these two people. Like you said, she couldn't imagine her life without them. So, what does each of these people like? What does Frank do for her or with her, and what does Roberta do for her or with her?
Frank Frank lives for her. Uh,
Yeah.
Maybe he he doesn't think about it, but he lives for her. Roberta likes Mary, and uh, she lives for her too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you remember at the beginning of the movie when he was giving her away to school and they were alone, Roberta and Frank, and she said, if something happens to her, I will smother you. Smother, я тебя задушу подушкой. Ну, типа там, чимось, да, я тебя задушу. So she really cared about what happened to that girl. She really loved her. Yeah. Maybe she didn't go around saying like, I love her life, I love her, but she really cared about what happened to her. Okay, but what does Roberta do with Mary? I mean, when they're together, what are they doing? Solving mathematical problems, looking at the sky. What are they doing? What do they do?
They
They
play
was
together.
they were singing. Well, I
Yeah.
especially liked those that scene where they where they were jumping on the bed and singing
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was,
a very
mhm,
joyful song.
yeah.
Really.
I think from what I've seen, I think I got an impression that it was their regular thing. They probably did it on a specific day, like on Friday night or something like that. So it was a regular thing, and I think it's very important to have fun with a kid. Not just like you should do that, you should do that, be a good boy or girl, but also just enjoy life and sing or dance or be stupid or something like that. So
I
yeah,
I think Roberta shows Mary other side of life.
yeah.
Yes, it's life is not only learning, not only do the different tasks. Life is also enjoying. Yes,
Mhm.
and she shows this side.
Yeah, that's right. Also, it's a good way to bond, to connect with each other. When you're doing something like that, you become sort of best friends. And remember, when the psychologist later asked her, "Who's your best friend?" she said, "Roberta is my best friend." So yeah, they are friends. Something I wanted to ask here, but I forgot. It's okay. It happens. So, what is family for Frank? So, whom does Frank consider his family?
Mary.
Okay. Anybody else?
Um,
Maybe Roberta too.
Why do you think
Mary.
so?
They are friends. Uh, Mary, Roberta tried to care uh, for him.
Mhm. She doesn't just try, she actually cares for them. She looks after them. First of all, they live in her sort of not house, but this sort of, yeah, small house. They rent it from her. She's their landlady, first of all. Secondly, she looks after Mary when he's busy. Do you remember?
yes,
Yeah, okay, everybody.
once a day a week.
Saturday.
Yeah, and she also tries to protect them when she can. I mean, again, in the final episode, I mean, one of the final episodes, when together they went, he didn't go alone to get Mary back. He took Roberta. They both went to this sort of foster family house, and when they grabbed Mary, they left the room, and Evelyn wanted to follow them, wanted to go after them, and she stood and said, "No, no, no," something like that. I don't remember what exactly she said, but basically she stopped Evelyn with her body. And this is one of the roles I think she plays in the movie. She's like a protector of that family. She tries to protect them. So, yeah, I think for Frank, she's also important. And without her, I am not sure. What do you think? Do you think Frank would be able to do everything on his own?
No, no, she lacks, she would lack the mother's maybe love because
Even
actually
he.
Mary would
You
lack
mean?
mother's love
Mhm,
without Roberta
mhm.
because she actually does like her mother
Yeah, she acts like a
in
mother.
some
Yes.
way.
Yeah, yeah. So a mother's role. Okay, okay. And would Frank be able to cope with his job and other tasks if there were no Roberta?
Maybe no, because he also has a work. He go to a work. Yes, because he should earn money for family, and Roberta helps him, like girls said. Um, that's why she is important also.
Yeah. And remember, I don't know if it's his usual thing or not, but we notice him several after his problems started with this court and trial, etc. So we notice him several times in a bar. So again, he started to. Sometimes he goes out. Sometimes he has dates. I don't know how serious they are. So basically, he wouldn't be able to do that if he had no one to leave Mary with, because Mary is under 8, and according to the law, you cannot leave a child under 8 alone on her own, on his own, because otherwise the child would be taken from you by the state, by the government. So yeah, this having Roberta actually helps. And what about Evelyn? She's a different case, I would say. So what is family for her?
I think she believes that family is something for um, for prouding. She thinks she should proud her members of family.
She should be proud. Yes, she should be proud.
Be proud, yes. She was proud your daughter. She because she all was gifted like Mary, yes, and she hoped that Mary will make her proud again. For her, family it's not keep it in touch, spending time together, share life, connect relationship. No, it's a work and proud. Go to success.
Okay, thank you. Good point.
Very high ambitions. Actually, she, like Mary said, she was very bossy and she controlled everybody. And she wanted. I think her only aim was not to make bond with somebody, but to realize her own ambitions. Because once she hoped her husband, her first husband, would do that for her, then the daughter, and then this is the last chance, and if for her, her granddaughter. If you remember that scene in the Massachusetts Technology University when she was with Mary and she said that look at that wall. Once there will be my name on that wall. And actually she lived, was her life, maybe her...
The meaning of life or the sense of life.
The meaning of her life, the sense of life for her, yes, actually.
Okay, thank you. Luda, do you have anything to add?
I think Elizabeth doesn't need to family. Because she says her husband lives far away. Maybe she wants to live alone.
And speaking about that, it's actually a good point, touching upon a good point. Remember, what was the relationship between Mary and Evelyn before everything started?
They hadn't a relationship.
They didn't have a relationship. So she didn't have this need inside to connect with her granddaughter. She knew that she existed. Or at least a child existed. I'm not sure she knew that it was a she. And she never even showed up. Why? Give me different
Mary said, I don't remember exactly how it said, but Evelyn, she didn't want me before I was clever, yes?
Yeah. I will give you this quote, is the exact quote, but yeah, it's exactly that. So you are talking right now about why she wanted to connect with Mary eventually. I'm asking why she didn't want to have any relationship.
Because I think she didn't used to care for somebody. Because little children, it's a lot of problem, a lot of trouble. They need caring, but she want teaching her and go to successful. Yes, she doesn't used to care and help people each other. I think she can't share a lot.
Okay, so basically what you're saying, she's not a caring person and she's not very good at it, and that's why she didn't connect with them. Okay, that's a good point, which I agree with. Natasha, what do you think?
Maybe she didn't forgive her daughter's suicide. That can be the point. And she considered her first husband and her daughter to be weak persons
Yeah.
and to be failures,
Yeah, losers. That's right.
losers, as they say.
That's
Yes.
exactly that. I think it's a reason, first of all, for her daughter not just to commit suicide, it was the last step, right? But for her to get pregnant. I mean, how could she? How dare she, right? She was supposed to be doing mathematics, not getting pregnant. And then, yes, dying. I mean, totally ruined her plans. So she was so manipulative, so, calculating that for her it was like a logical step. Okay, she didn't do what I wanted, so I don't care what happens next. At least that's what I think. And only when Mary started to show her gift, she sort of got interested a little bit. Otherwise, I think she would just live the rest of her life without Mary, which is, I mean, it's crazy. Her granddaughter. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It's again related to family to some extent. The question is Frank a good parent? And why do you think so? And what makes a good parent?
Frank is
He's not,
good.
he is
He's
not,
good parent.
sorry?
Frank is good parent. Is good dad.
Why do
Uh,
you think so?
because he alone care for Mary. Um, he he doesn't have him life own life.
What do you
У
mean?
него нет своей жизни.
He doesn't have his own life. Okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
he was not professor, PhD. Yes, PhD.
Yeah, he was actually
And
an assistant professor, associate professor at university. He had quite a good position. I mean, everybody wants that, yeah. And he,
but now he doesn't work at university. He him life is life with Mary.
yeah, so he dedicated his life to Mary, right? Dedicated Presvetev, yeah. So yeah, he gives all his life to Mary. Okay, these are very good points. We might go back to them a little bit later. So what else makes him if you agree that he's a good parent, what makes him a good parent? What does he do? How he acts, or what character traits make him a good parent?
Uh, I especially like we don't know at the beginning of the film that he was a professor of philosophy, but actually what he does to her is to upbringing and her very philosophical, maybe some philosophical view on the world. Uh, so they can he discussed very wide problems with that little small girl, for example the face, the god, and he I liked that scene about the hospital as you wrote, but
Yeah.
as I very adore psychology, I was amazed that he didn't let the trauma for her to happen. He actually not every parent can do that, because when she started to cry, he didn't. He wasn't sorry for her, but if he started to утешать, как бы, how to say, to soothe her, she would continue to think that she was a bad person, that she didn't
Deserve to
uh,
be loved, something like
deserve to be loved or something. But he was very resolved to turn the situation on the other side, and he didn't. So he did it at once. So she took her to that hospital, and she would never have that trauma that she is not loved by her.
Great examples.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for bringing it up, because actually, yes, I think this scene is so important for the same reason. I mean, it's a great scene anyway, but it's about, yes, not letting the trauma set in. So instead of saying, like usually parents, what they do, they tell you what you should feel, what you should, don't cry, everything is fine, it doesn't matter. So you're just
Mhm.
using words. He decided not to use words at all, because I mean, it's one thing, you have to, I mean, she trusts him and she would probably believe him on some level that he's right, that I shouldn't feel, but it's very difficult to fight your own feelings, especially for a child. So instead of doing all that, I don't know how he got this instinct to know what to do, but he basically, instead of telling her what to feel or what to do, he just showed her and let her feel something different. It was like, yeah, I had goosebumps, again, uh, murashki по телу, when I realized what he was doing. So at first they were sitting like bored and they didn't know what they were doing except for him. And then when do you remember her face? Like how
Mhm.
happy she was. And I think it was like really amazing. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about this idea. I'm not that resourceful. He's really very cool. I think he's a very cool person. Okay, thank you. And speaking about faith, that conversation about God, I also prepared that dialogue. If you want to, we can, if you have time, we can look through it, because it's an interesting one. It teaches her not only about, if there is God or there isn't God, because he didn't give her the answer, but he also teaches her to think for herself, to form her own opinion. So he teaches her to think independently, and I think this is the most important thing a parent can teach a child. Instead of saying this is right, this is wrong, you should be a Catholic or you should be a Protestant or whatever, or you should be an atheist, what doesn't exist. So yeah. So any other points about his parental sort of abilities?
Yes, he understands that Mary has to live in a social world. That's why she should build connection with people. That's why Mary went to school.
Yeah.
It's on the one hand, but he also, I think, he also. Lend her and improve and develop her knowledge, because Mary didn't born with math knowledge, but she know how she can edit a big
Trachtenberg, do you remember he mentioned this Trachtenberg method of
yes,
adding big numbers in your head? It was actually his idea. He taught her. Yes, later she taught herself a lot of things. She just read them. But this thing he taught her a long time ago. Yes. Okay, very good. Also, not just mathematics, but I think he taught her a lot of other cool
yes.
things.
Yes, and that's why I think it's not correct to think that Fred only want to have to want that Mary have only like happy childhood. He also teach
Taught her. Mhm.
taught her
Mhm.
and to support her in the different ways,
Mhm.
not like Evelyn. Evelyn wants not only learning and only go ahead for successful, but Frank developed Mary from different sides.
Very good. Yeah, it's very important, and I'm glad you mentioned it. For him, having her being smart is not the only valuable thing she has. She wanted her to have a happy life, and he knows that you can't be happy if you are alone, if you are separate, if you're alone. And that's why he was taking a risk by taking her to school, because he had no rights for her. So even so he basically sacrificed this, or he risked this just for her to have a normal childhood, to have friends and to have relationships. And speaking about, I think for him, her character was even more important than her sort of brain, because he wanted her to be a passionate, compassionate, loving, caring human being. Do you remember how glad he was, how proud he was when she beat up that boy, and he was called to the principal's office. Usually when you are called to the principal, you say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and he said, "I'm not so sort of. I'm not very sorry. I'm really proud that she stood up for that boy." Um, so that tells him that she cares about the boy, and he's very proud that she cares about that boy. And I totally agree with him that it is very important to have a compassionate child, to have a child who is kind, who has, pity for other children, etc. Um, there was something else. Just a second. Let me have a quick look at my notes. Something related to that.
And he was able to support Mary and made always everything for her connection with the children. In the end of the film, Mary, after the lessons at the university, they came to the playground when
Yeah.
she play with different children. In this situation, we saw it was like a usual situation for her. She was able to connect common language with
Yeah.
children.
Yeah. When I was preparing, for the hangout a week ago or something like that, I read several reviews, and it was one of the points that was made in one of the reviews, that at the beginning of the movie, her only world is like two adults. And at the end of the movie, her world is much wider, and she's surrounded by children. And that's the main dynamic, the main change in Mary's life, because she's still with Frank. I mean, for Frank, there are some changes, but from her point of view, from Mary's point of view, this is the major change. She's not alone anymore. She's surrounded by friends now. And I think this is really important, and this is what Frank wanted. Okay, there was some quote I wanted to quote uh, about this, but I don't have it now. I think I lost it somewhere. It doesn't matter. We still have a lot of questions to do. So, which one do you want to take next? Um, Emotions, or I don't know, favorite scene. What is your favorite scene?
I
Mm,
said that it was seen in the hospital, so
Like me?
because
Yeah,
it
that's
was it was sudden. Actually, it was like an intrigue. Nobody knows what to happen next, and then the genuine emotions of that girl. She was jumping, and she took Roberta to jump with
yeah,
her, and she was ready to hug
yeah,
everybody.
yeah, yeah.
And actually. It's maybe the most touching scene in that film for me.
Yes, I totally agree. Thank you so much, Natasha. What about you girls? What were your favorite scenes? Oh, was your favorite scene?
maybe not favorite, but then shocked thing for me.
Shocking scene.
Shocking thing for me when Mary moved to a new family. When she said, "Don't give me, please.
Don't leave.
I don't want to live with these people." And she was crying, and this new family. Uh, віддирала її.
Well, pulled her away from Frank.
Moved her away, and for me it's a totally understanding situation, because this girl have a live uncle who is like a father. she has a live grandma, but she should live with
Strangers.
different family. It's an unusual situation for me. How is possible? How these people can allow to that this girl live in different family. These people absolutely don't know about this girl, and for her it's a really shocked situation.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yeah, it was a very sad, distressing even scene. Yeah. Okay, Luda, what about you? What is your favorite scene?
Oh, I have many different favorite scene. After that scene, when Frank take home Mary,
Okay,
it's a
and
good scene.
what was happening in that scene?
Uh, Mary um, Mary doesn't want to go to him,
Mm-hmm.
but he said to I take home you.
I'll take you home. Yes. Mm-hmm. I remember that scene. It's very interesting. Also, it's related to whether he was a good parent or not, because she was angry with him. Like Luda said, at first she didn't want to go with him. I mean, probably she wanted, but she said she didn't want to go with him because she was angry. She was
He
hurt.
was angry, yes.
Yeah, and she was sort of pushing him away, like all people do when they are hurt. I don't want you, etc., etc. But he knew that it's not real. And what he did, he said, "I made a mistake. I'm really sorry." So for parents, I think it's very important to sometimes admit their mistakes. That's what parents don't like doing, but still, everybody makes mistakes. So, and he admitted that, and she hugged him, and it was, yes, it was one of the touching scenes in the movie. So yeah, and afterwards it was less emotional when they were driving home, and it was more relaxed, etc. So yeah, it was a nice scene. Um,
It was interesting when they have a conversation near the beach, maybe when Mary climbed for him, and they
Mhm.
uh, speak about different topic about life. It was evening and dark outside, and they had a close conversation.
Yeah, yeah. As far as I remember, that was, if I'm not mistaken, the background was red because the sun was setting, and he was like a silhouette, and she was like really like not jumping, like climbing.
Climbing.
And as far as I remember, this was the scene where they were talking about God. And if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen to have a look at that conversation. Okay,
Hmm.
just a second. Present my screen and the tab. Okay, share, and here it is. So they are talking, and she's asking, "Is there a God?" And he answers, "I don't know." And like all children, just tell me. Просто скажи мне, right? Like they are impatient a little bit. Just tell me. I would if I could, but I don't know. And neither does anybody else. And it's true. I mean, nobody knows if God exists or not. She says, Roberta knows. And he answers, no. Roberta has faith, and that's a great thing to have. So he doesn't bash faith. He doesn't say that faith is bad or faith is good. I mean, faith, but faith what about what you think, feel, not about you know. And again, that's true. What about Jesus? She asks. He says, love that guy, do what he says. I mean, again, he's right. Everything that Jesus stood for and he said are good things, like good life rules, sort of. And she asks, but is he God? And again, he says, I don't know. I have an opinion, but that's my opinion. I could be wrong. So why would I screw up yours? Навіщо мені портити твоє враження, твою думку про нього? So use your head, so mind, brain, but don't be afraid to believe in things either. Але не бійся також вірити в речі. So I think his approach to this is really cool. He not only teaches her to think independently and form her own opinion, but also he allows her, or actually he says that believing is okay, but don't forget that there are two sides to it. Also use your head. Huh. There was a guy on TV who said there was no God, she says. And he answers, the only difference between the atheists on TV and Roberta is that Roberta loves you. She's trying to help. Tell you what though, by the way, it's a cool expression, which you to be skажу, right? So tell you what though, one way or another, we all end up back together in the end. That's what you are asking, right? So he can feel basically that the question is not about whether there is God or there isn't God, but what will happen to me, or will I see my mom in the end, or something like that. So he can sense that she's asking about a little bit different thing, and that's what she's asking. Like one way or another, we all end up back together in the end. And she says, "Yeah, that's what I'm asking." And he says, "Okay." So that's a little bit piece of dialogue for you. Also, I don't know if you noticed or not, there were several quotes posted in the group, so you can have a look at them in the group later. Some cool vocabulary there too, and some additional, vocabulary and quotes that I posted recently. Not posted, I added recently to the board. So this is one of them. If Mary is this amazing, smart, sweet human being, then I must be doing something right. It was closer to the end of the movie, because remember, in the middle of the movie, he was doubting himself all the time. He was not sure if he was doing the right thing, keeping Mary. Evelyn made him doubt himself. And eventually, this is what he realized. If she's this really humorous, interesting, cool, smart human being, then it's also probably because I did something good. And that changed his sort of opinion, or I don't know, attitude towards himself and towards the situation. So I'm not going to read all of them. You have access to the board. You can have a look at some of these words, vocabulary. If you have questions about them, you can ask in the group. For example, this expression ad nauseam, it was at the very beginning, some first scenes in the movie. That's how it started. You don't know what ad nauseam means, so you need to go to school. So it's a Latin phrase. Used in this movie. Okay, I'll stop sharing. And we can continue the discussion. So we still have several questions left. For example, what does it mean to be gifted for the main characters? And is the idea of being gifted presented as a burden or as an opportunity?
I think this is like an opportunity, because people who have some knowledge, some gift, they can more opportunity in the life. But when they develop for the different side, like human and like gifted people. Frank, it's totally understand this, because he had a bad experience with his sister. For her, gifted was like burned.
Burden, yeah.
Burdened. That's why for her life ending, it was really scared situation, and he didn't want that Mary have the same situation in the future. That's why for him I think he tried to do everything that in the future Mary don't will not have the same situation. That's why he um, give her to in school. They um, push her to friends, to children, and for him it's. But he allowed her to visit the to university. He developed her talent, and I think for him, talent it's like an opportunity.
Yeah, and you are right. He was trying to develop both sides to create a balanced
Yeah.
environment. Evelyn, on the other hand, do you remember she spoke several times? I remember she used the word focus. You have to be focused. Basically, she was saying that you have to forget about everything else and just like do like that. And for me personally, I think this is a wrong approach. I mean, maybe it works. Maybe it's more effective, but I think it makes a person really unhappy, like with her daughter. So I think his approach was much better, because in this case the gift would be both, not both a burden, but would be an opportunity, not a burden.
I think so for Evelyn's daughter, talent was like a
Burden, burden.
burden because they should refuse with friends. They should refuse with love and good relationship with boy because she allowed her, and after
No, she didn't allow her. She forbid her.
beat
Yes.
and after that, this her daughter had depression situation, and for her talent was really bad. I think this girl want to be like usual children, have relationship, fall in love, make make with make friends with different people, but she should learning and learning.
Yeah. Okay, Luda, what do you think?
Oh, I agree with Lisa. In the start, at the start film, Frank think that gifted is a burden, but at the end, he mm, he he opened the way. How to
Combine?
соединить, combine,
Yes, how to combine
combine
her talent with her life, yes?
mhm.
Yeah. So we can see that from his actions when he started to bring her to this university for her to study with these much older students, yes, to have special classes. So he's not afraid of her gift anymore, because at the beginning he tried to develop her mind, but he was also afraid that she would show her. Do you remember they even had a conversation about that? Don't show yourself as too smart or something like that at school, because he was afraid that people will notice her and will take her away from him. So for him, her gift was a burden for him. He was afraid because of that. Eventually, at the end of the movie, we see that for him, it's not a burden anymore. For him, it's also an opportunity to connect with her, to do something for her. So yeah.
Yes, when Mary was at the university and made mistake, and teacher asked her, "Why? I made mistake. Why you didn't
Did you correct me?
correct me?" And she said, I shouldn't correct all the people. Yeah.
Nobody likes a smart ass. I remember it was one of the quotes that I chose because it was so funny. Yeah. I mean, she was doing what Frank told her, what she taught her, what he taught her. Не исправляй взрослых, да? Something like that. Yeah. Okay, yes, actually, he was just trying to protect her because if she started to correct all the people all the time, because she was actually smarter than most Americans, I guess, um, she would be very noticeable. She would have problems, and he was just trying to protect her. But this rule doesn't always work. Okay, unfortunately, we don't have much time left because I always promise you that it will only take you an hour. So we have 2 minutes left now. So the next movie we are going to have, it's a little bit different. I mean, I always try to find the movies that I'm pretty sure you will, if not like, at least you will find it interesting, and you would not regret the time that you spent watching it. So the next movie, if I'm not mistaken, let me have a look at the list of movies.
Can
It's
you repeat, please? I have some internet problem. Can you repeat the title of the film?
I haven't said it yet. Don't worry, I haven't mentioned it yet.
Equilibrist, like something like this. Equilibrist.
Equilibrium. That's what I was checking. Yes, equilibrium. I try to give different genres for you to have exposure to different genres. And equilibrium is the genre of action, breivik. But there are like stupid, action films. I mean, not stupid, but they are silly. There is nothing to discuss. Not much, at least. Like when you watch, I don't know, something like only action, what can we discuss? Like what happened? Okay, I can retell you the movie and that's it. But in this movie, at least, I think there are several interesting moments which we can discuss. So it's a mixture of action. Also, there is a little bit of sci-fi there. Sci-fi, it's science fiction, so it's a little bit, you can pay attention to that because it's about a dystopian future, alternative world, basically. So, and this kind of genre about dystopian worlds, they make you think. So I hope that we will discuss it. And also for me personally, it's an older movie. I mean, it's not the recent one. I watched it like maybe 20 years ago. It was the movie of my youth, let's say. It's also visually appealing, at least for me. There are some fight scenes that are very, like you look at them, oh, it looks really cool, So I like it from that point of view. And also it has one of my favorite actors. I mean, I can't say that he's my favorite, but one of my favorite actors. And I think he's really a great actor, so he can act, not just, be in a movie, but can act. So I will send you the questions a bit later, maybe a week later. So for now, try to find the movie. I'm not sure it's easily available because usually on Google or on YouTube you can easily find the recent movies. It's for older ones. Usually it's more problematic. So if you can find it, let me know in the group, and I will send you a link. I will send you my link, personal link. Just don't share it with anybody else, okay, please, because it's not very acceptable. But for a small group of people, I think I can share it with you in English. I mean, if you want to watch it in English, but if you want, you can totally find it on your own in Russian and watch it any way you want to. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much for meeting me here. I think it was a great conversation. At least it was very interesting for me to listen to what you have to say. Your opinions are really interesting. So thank you so much, and see you 2 weeks later.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Have a great day.
Have a
Thank
nice
you. The
weekend.
same to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.